Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the IRL F1 League here at Invictus Racing League. We're on the PS4, it's Monday night, which means, of course, is the IRL F1 League, and my name is Gareth, joined, as always, by Sam. How are you doing, Sam?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We are here tonight. New track for us. New track for F1, isn't it? The Zandvoort circuit in the Netherlands. I'm really excited for this, especially after last week's race. We got a superb race around the Red Bull Ring last week where we saw a debut podium sitting there with TCG Nathan getting himself up on the podium. He's a Dutch guy as well. He'll be hoping to repeat that, I'm sure, tonight, as well as many of the other Dutch drivers we have with us in this league. So I can't wait to see how this plays out, because it's like I just said, it's a new track. It's something different for us to see, something different for us to commentate on. So it'll be fascinating to see how these guys approach this race circuit tonight.
Yeah, very much so. Looking forward to this one. As you say, brand new circuit. First time that a lot of these guys will have competitively raced around here. Might have done a few laps, and you'd hope they've done a few laps in training and practice, ready for this one. And yes, welcome everyone, and let's get prepared for myself to absolutely murder the Dutch words that I'm expecting to be pronouncing for some of these corners. But I will do my best. I'm sure that that's a Burmeister, KJ, Nathan. We've got Delange and others in the F1 community here at IRL will tell me otherwise if I've pronounced anything wrong. But yeah, good luck to everyone. Looking forward to this one. Very tricky circuit. It's a very historic circuit. Of course, F1 raced here for many years in the past. Not since 1985 has F1 been back. It was meant to be on the calendar, but not able to make it this time around. But welcome to everyone joining. Good to have you on board, guys, and hopefully you're having a good bank holiday if you're in the UK, and if you're not in the UK, of course, around the world, hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday. Oh, lovely blue skies here on the beaches of Zandvoort in North Holland, and it will be, I'm sure, a much welcome weather for the majority of the paddock here.
It will indeed, yeah. We're always hoping, aren't we, for like tricky conditions to make these guys just suffer a bit more sometimes. But I'm sure with a new circuit, a new track, they'll be wanting to get a dry run in here to really get a feel for it. As already we're seeing one of the Williams guys coming out onto the track, followed by an Alfa Romeo as well. I believe it was Scott Bugner, was it? No, it was Harry. Sorry, Harry coming out. Harry, he's really on the charge, is he, to try and push Gamer this season? But last week it was a bit of a difficult race for Harry, wasn't it? And in the end, he somewhat recovered. He dropped out of the points at one point, but somewhat recovered back. But it's a race to probably forget for Harry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was indeed. Currently only picked up 6 points from that one, so dropped 6 points behind Gamer in the championship standings already. Of course, no Gamer tonight. He is in the comments, so welcome. Hopefully you're having a good day, Sam. And I saw your F4 video. Very impressive. I did the same thing a few years ago myself and had a great time. And but yeah, it is definitely an evening for the likes of Harry, likes of KJ Elting, to possibly start to pick up some points and close in on Gamer's early lead that he's built after the first and second that he's picked up already this season. And the Williams of Harry will be the first one to go out and set a competitive lap. He's on the Red Bull soft tyres, so obviously the fastest tyres that we have here in use this weekend, or this weekday I should say. They are half a second faster than the mediums and 1 second faster than the hard tyres. Expect to see multiple strategies going on. However, I've just been informed that we are expecting to see a dry to wet to dry race. So mixes up the strategy, mixes up the race, might mix up the grid.
Oh, most definitely. I can't imagine these guys will be too pleased with that news. They'll be, like I said, they'll be wanting to try and get to grips with this track on a dry surface as quick as possible. But with you mentioning Gamer not racing tonight, this is a huge opportunity, isn't it, for Harry and the chasing pack behind to really get up there with the Gamer and try and get themselves right upon fighting for that championship. And Harry will be desperate to try and make up for last week, like I say, and try and gather as many points as possible just coming round now for the final few corners, that steep banking. I love this end part of the circuit for me. Oh, as Harry's almost lost it there on that banking. He got onto the curb in there and he bailed out of that lap, and unfortunately for Harry, it's a bad start for him. He just got too greedy on the runoff, got too much of the car on the curb. He held the car well, but yes, unfortunately for Harry, that is a lap aborted, as Schofielder is the first one to set a time with a 109.123 in the Alfa Romeo.
Yep, very, very quick lap times here at Zandvoort, and expect to see them in the 108s, perhaps even dipping into the 107s if someone can absolutely blister themselves around a time. But Schofielder, the first one to set a time, 109.123. Scott does a 109.248, and Rimac a 10.2. There goes a Sambam kick, matching to the absolute thousandth of a second. Schofielder's TL44S does a 108.935. Now, TL44S, one to watch out for in qualifying, because his time trial time. Now, no, obviously, I'm definitely not a purveyor of time trial. I do think the time trial and GP mode and competitive mode are very much different, so I'm not even going to try and equate them to being the same. But TL44S, very quick indeed when it comes to time trial, setting a time faster than anyone else in this grid this evening. So watch out for TL44S. Definitely one to watch out for. Is a new driver this weekend and this week is Bugner F1, and welcome Bugner, good to have you here in IRL F1 as he goes pole. As it looks like we've lost Jakob.
Yeah, right in front of Bugner. Bugner was on the in lap coming back in, and there was I only saw briefly a Renault with a wheel missing sideways on the track, and Bugner luckily avoided the spinning Renault, and unfortunately for Jakob, on that medium tyre he set a 110.625, and he won't be seeing any more. So right now he's sat in 11th, but I imagine he'll be dropping probably to the back of the grid with that.
Yep, so unfortunately there for Jakob, that 10.6 may not be, as you say, enough to have him outside the back row of the grid. Andre is a 118, but I expect that to go much quicker. I'm sure he's not 8 seconds slower than everyone else, but Harry now back out on circuit. So is Cliffy. Cliffy, of course, had a bit of an up and down season so far, as Cliffy often does. One of those drivers out there that tends to qualify a little bit further down and make his way up through the field. So I'm sure he'll be looking at improving that time. Of course, he qualified well last week in Austria, where he qualified on the second road of grid in 3rd place. But first race back in France, only 18th. So a little bit of work to do for Cliffy if he is to get himself up the front end of this one. Harry's having another go after that slight mistake on the exit of the final corner, and I'm going to have a go at pronouncing it, and I'm sure I'll be shouted at by the majority of the nation of the Netherlands, but it is the Arie Luijendijk box, and box being, of course, being Dutch or English/Dutch for Ben. So that is my attempt. I'll try and give it a go if I can get it right, but I'm sure I've been completely murdering that pronunciation of it. But here is Harry coming down the second DRS straight. Of course, 2 DRS straights here at Zandvoort. One on the pit straight, and of course one on the exit of turn 10 all the way down to turn 11. Now he comes into the final 2 corners, penultimate corners, turn 13, a slightly banked turn, and then turn 14, the even further banked turn. It's actually got more banking than Indianapolis, the Indianapolis circuit at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that is a new task for these F1 cars, but plenty of downforce. And Harry goes second with a 108.794, much better time there, 600th of a second off of Bugner, the local Dutchman on pole currently.
That was a decent lap. Oh, I was just about to say I'm going to head over to Cliffy, but Cliffy in the same patch of track where Harry lost it almost, Cliffy ran wide, invalidated his lap, straight into the pit. So unfortunately for Cliffy, there's no time set there for him, and that part of the track, that last part of the circuit, looking like it's a bit tricky for these guys. You don't want to be running too far wide there, because it's proved by Cliffy and Harry that you can either invalidate your time or lose a lot of time out there, so they need to be a bit wary of that.
Yeah, they will indeed. There's plenty of places around here that you can invalidate your lap, and just using too much curb will find you disappearing off into down. We're just off the beach here at Zandvoort, so possibly off into the dunes, slightly off the edge of the circuit. If you take too much entry and exit curb, because these curbs around here very aggressive. We're just on board with Warisland, and in fact we'll sit above the Dutch driver's head as we come in towards turn 8 and turn 9. And you get a little bit a little bit too hot in, but locking it in and getting it straightened up here on the exit of turn 10. DRS opens now as we go down towards Hans Ernst at the chicane at turn 11 and turn 12. It's a right-hander into almost a hairpin like left-hander. Straighten the car out, and now down towards the final 2 corners on this one. And they're banking, very, very evident, you see here, as we go around, straighten the car up, launch it down towards the line. What can Morris do on his first time lap? 15th up to 10th place of 109.490.
Another driver that has fallen foul to running wide towards the end of the track is now Sam Bamkid. Sam Bamkid was looking like he was going to dip into the 108, ran wide exactly the same spot as Cliffy, invalidated straight back into the pit. So this final part of this circuit, these guys are just getting a bit too greedy. They're trying to push the limits, aren't they? A bit too much at the moment, and the F1 stewards are penalising them by invalidating that lap straight away. So unfortunately for Sam Bamkid, he doesn't improve. He stays in P8.
Yep, Sam not having the best of starts to the season already, and he has joined us, and he is currently in 8th, so inside the top 10, so good results so far. And round goes Samu Papito, taking that aggressive inside curve, just a little bit too greedy on that inside curve, and unfortunately for the Spaniard, around he goes, and the Tenerife-based driver, unfortunately, will have to have another go with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left in this one. He's getting all wrong. He wants to get out of the way because there's a Williams coming up behind him, and we've seen a clash between the Sam and the Williams last week in Austria. We don't want to see it again. This time, of course, Sam picking up a penalty post-race for that incident, and equally so did Burmeister for his involvement, and Burmeister in the Red Bull alongside Warrislander, who's made the jump from the Ferrari to the Red Bull for this one, opening up the spots in the Ferrari for Arbiz and Berliner to join teams, with Berliner making his debut this week here. As into bits comes Ryan Mack. He's currently 11th on the grid, and we'll see if we can find anyone else on circuit. TL44S is currently out there. We'll go on board if the game will let me select. There we go. And we'll try and find TL44S, and we do. He's out on circuit. Where is he? Well, he's coming up to the final 2 corners on this one. Can TL44S, and in fact, I've not had the lap data up, so sorry about that, guys. Here he comes. Into the box comes TL44S, and you can see he's now in 4th position, just behind Harry, and with Samu Papito moving up to 6th even after that spin, as they're all chasing down KJ, a 108.356. So KJ and Berliner, 2 good friends off track, and now joined together on it. So that's going to be an interesting battle. 2 Netherlands-based drivers currently locking out the front row.
Yeah, that's the home crowd will be certainly happy with that, won't they? I was just keeping an eye on another Dutch driver of ours, and that was TTG's Nathan. He was superb last week, picking up that unlikely podium. He probably didn't expect it either, but unfortunately, he's finding it quite tough out there at the moment. He's invalidated again. He's just 6.5 minutes on the clock. He currently hasn't set a time alongside with Cliffy, but Cliffy, interesting to know, Cliffy's come back out on a set of mediums, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of time he can set here on a set of mediums, whether he can try and get himself anywhere near that top 10 or not.
Yeah, and interesting to see, and slightly different strategy there for the Racing Point. His teammate TL44S is currently on the 2nd row of the grid with that 108.935, so watch out for TL44S, looking very, very strong in this one. Harry coming around the final corner, but looks as though he might be boxing this time around because he's going much slower, unless he decided to go for a double push lap here, and it looks as though he might be doing just that. So we'll go on and we'll find out someone else. Where have we got? We've got Foxy Red 2000. He's out on circuit as well, and Foxy had a pretty good start to the season so far, a couple of points here and there, and it's what he's finished. He DNF'd last week, but picked up 4th place in the first race of the season back at Paul Ricard. And qualifying, now let me have a quick glance to my qualifying stats from Foxy. 4th and 11th so far this season, so he's currently in 7th, so almost slap bang in the middle of those two. So no, he's going to be making his average nice and consistent, but we'll check in and we'll go back on board with Warrislander, who's back out on circuit on a new set of softs. But we've seen Sab, and we got told obviously that we're expecting rain in the session, so everyone going for the softs. So we're expecting the rain to come a little bit bit earlier as Morrisland is going to go wide and into the wall and just about keeps hold of all 4 tyres. Now that is a corner that is going to catch out a lot of drivers, I'm sure, this weekend, not only IRL F1 but multiple leagues. And yeah, very tricky. You want to carry as much speed around it, and Warrislander, even for a driver that probably knows Zandvoort probably better than most others, being a local circuit for himself, just getting caught out by it, very easy to do.
There's quite a few races at the moment getting caught out. Cliffy, once again, he just cannot get on with that final sector. Riding on board to see how he was doing. He was actually flying on the medium tyres, but exactly the same spot again. Invalidated, comes into the pit, so he's really having a tough time with it. It's Cliffy. He, along with Nathan, haven't set a time so far. I was just keeping an eye on Burmeister as well, another Dutch racer as I was in that Red Bull. He has improved, but only in P15 at the moment with a 1:09.6.
Logshotter we're on board with now, just sitting above the AlphaTauri drivers ahead as we go into T-Cam around the final corner up to the line. What can he do? Coming across very quickly here in the AlphaTauri, and he maintains, goes 2/10 faster but maintains 8th position. One driver we haven't talked about so far this week has been Scott Bugner. He's out on circuit now, and congratulations to Scott. He's completing his 100th Grand Prix here at IRL, so joins the Centurions Club, and he is joining what I believe it's around about 11 or 12 other drivers here at F1. So yeah, congratulations to Scott. And he's making his way back in, but up in 6th position, which is good for Scott because he's not had the best of seasons so far. No points, and a pretty miserable start to his season, and already looking like he might be playing the number 2 role to Harry.
Yeah, unfortunately for Scott, I think it's just been. It's hard to explain, isn't it? I think he's got the pace there. I just think there's just been a few inconsistencies crept into his races so far, and he'll be hoping to rectify that this evening. But in P6 right now, that's a good position, and he'll be able to surely go on the attack. We've seen Scott many times in IRL in the past, haven't we? From those sort of positions, being able to make up 2, 3 or 4 places at the start of a race. So to never rule out Scott, I can always say that he's one to definitely keep an eye on when he's right in the thick of it there. I was just having a look through the field, and there's nobody really on any sort of laps at the moment. We've got a few guys coming out now. Berliner, I think, is on a lap now. I've not seen how he's doing, but Berliner only a couple of tenths off his friend KJ in first place. Just see him now, and he's marginally up in the 2nd sector here, so it's all about what he can do in this final sector. Can he improve? The Ferrari driver, he replaces Hercules in that Ferrari. He'll be hoping to a bit of a wiggle on there, hoping to improve on what he does here. Is he? No, it looks like nope, he's going to carry it on. He's stuck very right to that line. Does he improve? Yes, he does improve, but it's not by much. It's a 1:08.492. So Berliner edging closer to KJ, but at the moment KJ just seems to have that slight bit more.
Unfortunately there for Cliffy, once again, he was having a really, really strong lap. Just came out of the exit of turn 12, lit up the rear tyres, and unfortunately got it all wrong. Lost a bundle of time, and he's going to come across the line and only do a 1:11.8. So Cliffy not enjoying his session. Only 1 minute and 30 left to go in this one, so it's either put an extra 2 laps on those tyres, or it is just to resign yourself to starting on the last row of the grid. And we'll go on board with KJ, who's out on circuit. KJ, who's currently your provisional pole sitter, is going even quicker, 1/2 faster in this one. Is the current first place man in the standings, and KJ, who's currently 4th in the overall standings on 15 points after his penalty in France demoted him from a race win all the way back down to 6th position, has decided to back out of this lap. So even though he was going faster, he's decided to find himself maybe a little bit of room, or has he decided to back out entirely? We'll stay with Berliner, who's going slower, winding up for one more lap. We've got less than 50 seconds left to go in this one. Nathan retires from the session. Scopefielder retires from the session. Scope setting a really good lap of a 1:08.848, puts him up into 5th position, splitting the 2 Williams. Sambam Kid, really good lap there from the Haas, 108.698 up into the second row of grid ahead of Harry. So there's going to be plenty of changes, I'm sure. We've got Sam improving, we've got Harry improving, we've got Berliner improving. So yeah, Sab, take your pick. We're going to see plenty of improvements here from a number of drivers coming around this final lap of the session.
We are indeed. I'm keeping an eye on Sambam Kid. I think he's looked really impressive so far in third place. But just saying that, TL44S has just jumped up into third place. A nice lap there for the Racing Point driver, 108.674. But Sambam Kid is going quicker than what he has done previously. If he could keep this clean and tidy, which he has done on his final corner here, it's just a straight run now to the line. What can Sambam Kid do? Can he jump ahead? No, he can't. Wow, that is really close between him and TL4S, a 108.698. I think he did improve, but not quite enough to beat TL4S. But what a lap that was, I'd have to say, from Silver Pito there. A 108.706. He came really out of nowhere there into fifth place ahead of Harry, who's in sixth and not really going to, well, hopefully stay there. He don't want to hope anybody else, like his teammate Scott, improves and jumps ahead. But so Harry currently sat in the pits, sixth at best.
Yeah, so maybe not the session for a number of these drivers. Into the box comes Cliffy. Once again, he'll be starting from the bottom end of the field. Arbis was disqualified from the session. Arbis was not at the back, but unfortunately for him, that disqualification will put him right at the back. So let's see anyone else. It looks as though everyone into the box this time around. We've got the two Red Bulls on circuit. Doesn't look like either one is going to be going any faster, and they're not. So that is the end of qualifying, and it's KJ Eltink from Berliner, the debutant in second position. TL44S, I said that he'd be quick, up in third ahead of Sambam Kid, having his best qualifying of the season. Sammy Pepito has broken this two-race streak of qualifying in 13th position, up to 5th with Harry in 6th, Scopefield a 7th, Logshotter in 8th, with Scott not having the greatest qualifying sessions in 9th. Foxy Red rounding out the top 10, with Rymac the first driver to have tyre choice come the race in 11th, with Andre in 12th. Then you've got the two Dutch Red Bull drivers of Burmeister and the Warislander in 13th and 14th. Then Jakob, Cliffy, Nathan and unfortunately Arbis in the second Ferrari down in 18th position. So yeah, plenty to talk about in this one, but it is KJ taking pole position. Once again, he's looking very, very strong. We know how good he is on one lap pace.
Oh, most definitely. You can almost bet your house on KJ come qualifying. He's always there or thereabouts, isn't he? That was another superb qualifying for him. It's an all Dutch front rower that, like I said, the home crowd will be absolutely delighted with that. But I have to say, absolutely stunning qualifying, I have to say, from TL4S. You called it. He is super fast, and I think overall, since he's joined here on a Monday night in the F1 League, he's steadily improved. He came in last season, didn't he? And he was finding it a bit tough, but he's slowly started to find his pace. And this season especially, I think he's looked really promising. He's maybe picked up one or two penalties more than he should have done, and I think he'll be a bit frustrated because he's lost himself out on positions. But overall, I think TL4S has looked really strong, and those guys at the front, they'll have to keep an eye on their wing mirrors, won't they? Because the likes of him and Sambam Kid will be hot on their tails going into that first corner.
Yeah, very much so. And there you go. The weather maybe not optimum at all. They've probably got the British summertime has made its way over to North Holland here, and yeah, slightly damp, miserable, and we'll see if the rain comes down early in this one. Of course, everyone lining up on the soft tyres in the top 10, and then outside they have free tyre choice, but you've got to think if the rain is going to be coming, you want to be as fast as possible, so I expect to see the majority of the field on those soft tyres, unless, of course, they've decided to go for something a little bit different, which would be surprising with the rain expected to fall. Of course, rain not falling just yet, so we've seen races start in conditions last week in Austria in the IRL F3 League. It was raining, everyone having to start on dry tyres, caught out a couple of drivers, and yeah, so these conditions always very tricky, always very hard to play that tactical card. Of course, DRS, when that is deactivated, that is when it is the optimum time to come in and put on the intermediate tyres. Of course, the tyres that can displace 35 litres of water a second, and I guess the first time I get to use that stat, Sab. But they are the most optimum, of course, in this intermediary time before it goes to full wet. But we're not expecting to see it go to full wet. But of course, it will go dry afterwards. So, will someone stay out and dry tyres? Will someone risk it? Will the rain come down heavy enough to make those intermediates work? We will have to find out. Plenty of different things to think about. Plenty of options open, and plenty of unknowns for us here. Of course, first time racing here. It is the 20, or I believe, the 24th new circuit that IRL has raced at. 23rd new race that IRL. Most has been Great Britain, Silverstone, the least has been Azerbaijan. We actually attend and complete our second race at Azerbaijan later on in the season. That'll be coming up for round 10, and that slight sound I heard from you, obviously not looking forward to that one.
No, not particularly. No, I'm not a big fan of Azerbaijan, but each to their own out there, and it's in a way it's good to see back on the calendar. It adds a different dimension, doesn't it? I just wanted to go back to this quickly. Is what you just touched upon is, will some people try and stick it out on the dry tyres if it's not wet enough, and try and like get through that wet phase and when it goes back to dry, or will some people take a punt and go on to the wet, not the wet tyre, the intermediate tyre, and try and see if they can beat these guys through the wet conditions? But then, will the others intermediate tyres last long enough for this to work? It's going to be fascinating to see how this goes on. I just like to always point out what outside of the top 10 are doing, and it's a mixed bag really. You've got some guys going for that soft tyre, like you said, but you've got the likes of Burmeister, Jakob and Cliffy going for the set of medium, so maybe they're thinking this wet weather might not be coming in too early, and they're going to try and see this out and stretch this out longer into the race. It'd be fascinating to see when this wet weather comes, whether it comes the first lap or the 10th lap, who knows.
Yep, cannot wait for this one. It's going to be the first time here in the IRL F1 League on PS4 here at Zandvoort, and the first time on the game apart from the Xbox League last night, which of course you can catch up on by going to the YouTube channel and checking out. And it's not the only race of the weekend and a race of the week. It is so I keep on saying weekend. I've just spent the entire weekend commentating for the Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championship, so I'm used to saying weekend on that one. So yeah, I do apologise, which is probably why I sound a little bit hoarse today, because I've been shouting for the last 2 days. So I do apologise, but we're back here for IRL F1 on the PS4. Plenty of action Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You will see action here on the YouTube channel, whether it on the PS4, whether it on the Xbox, and of course all the Xbox races are streamed live to twitch.tv, uploaded later to YouTube. And of course, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us, whether you're watching live or if you've watched the uploaded highlights and the uploaded races later. It is a massive help to give us a like on the video. It really does help us with that algorithm. But you can see the pit stop predicted strategies there, but if with the rain coming down, ignore that. We might see something completely different. So it's all going to happen in this one. It's going to be the AlphaTauri of KJ Eltink 7 in pole position, alongside the Ferrari of Berliner F1, making his debut in the IRL F1 League. TR44S in the Racing Point with the Haas of Sam Bam Kidd. And in fact, it's only down to 8th position. We see a double use of the constructors. So we've got KJ and Logshotter locking out in the top 10. But who can get the run off the line down towards Tarzan for the first time? We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Pause, and it's a drive-through already. KJ's gone.
Oh, no.
Straight off the line, too eager. And the Dutch driver in the AlphaTauri has already left the line and gone down towards Tarzan for the first time. Picked himself up a drive-through. Worst case scenario for him. And behind you can see everyone filtering through Tarzan for the first time into Hugenholtz. And we're just trying to get the camera back in the right position. There we go. Sorry about that. But it is KJ that's going to be holding on to lead this one, but he will have to come into the box, so that's going to provoke Berliner, TL44S and Sambam up into first, second and third.
KJ, it wasn't even close with those lights there. KJ really too eager, and now he's going to try and get a run on to try and make this less painful. He's trying to stretch his lead out as quick as possible. He's already 2 seconds ahead, but clearly that's because of his jump start. But this is a disaster for the AlphaTauri driver. Just further behind, TL4 is keeping Bugner honest, and Bugner will shortly be taking the lead of this race, and TL4 even is only half a second behind the Ferrari driver, so it's a good start from him. He didn't lose out to Sam Kid, and Sam Pitto's not too far behind Sam either.
No, but it is TL4 that is really starting to close in on Bugner, and you can see the battle behind between Sam Pitto and Sam Bam Kid is you can see Sam trying to get into the tracks of Sam, but manages to be held off as we've got DRS enabled. It's already put us onto lap 3 once again, so it's DRS is supposedly enabled. We'll see if it actually happens when they get to turn 10. But TL4 is still closing in on Bugner. Ignore what you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. That is not the case. It is currently KJ Elting from Bugner from TL4 and with KJ expecting to come in the next 2 laps for a drive-through penalty. We'll try and go through the field and have a look at what else is going on, but I know that the timing screens are having their own issues, so I will try and make sure that I can stay on board with whatever is the most exciting on the circuit. But Sab, we talked about this before we came on air. It's a very tricky circuit for overtaking. You're going to have to use DRS probably down the main straight into Tarzan, because apart from that, it's going to have to be a brave lunge into some of these corners.
It really is, and you've already got a bit of a train happening now as it's raining. It is raining on track right now, so it's lap 2 and we've already got rain. So KJ into the pits to serve his drive-through. So this is a double whammy here for KJ. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Has anybody lost it? Yes, they have. Arbiz has lost it on the curve. Unfortunately, the Ferrari driver's lost it. But yeah, it's raining on track now, so this is going to be crucial now. How long can these guys run on these tyres in these conditions? And are the medium tyres looking like a gamble what's not going to pay off? Because this rain is coming down quite heavily, quite quickly.
Schofielder just loses 3 positions at Hugenholtz at turn 3. Just went slightly high up into the banking, and it opened the door for Logshotter, Scott and Foxy Red 2000 to sweep up the inside. In fact, now Rimac is closing, and we've got a yellow flag in sector 1 and sector 2. It looks as though we've lost another one of the drivers to possibly these curbs, and as you say, very tricky conditions as the rain starts to come down. They are on these soft tyres, and the softs will start to lose adhesion. It's Jakob, the second Renault, is down and out of this one, so unfortunately we've lost Jakob from the race, and we are now under VSC, so everyone now having to drop their pace down, sticking to that delta, and this might help out some of those that were possibly just overheating those tyres in these battles. But it doesn't look as though it's wet enough to start coming in for the intermediates, but we'll see. Does anyone dive in? They do, right at the last minute, and you've got a number of cars diving in. Sam Bamkid stays out, but right at the last minute, Bugner and Sam Pitto swapping position into the box, also into the pit stop comes Harry, and drive-through penalty for Arbiz as well. So everyone's starting to get caught out in these conditions out on circuit.
That was so close, wasn't it? Them getting into the pit lane there. It was borderline dangerous, but they all managed to get through. But the only one really who stayed out is Sam Bamkid. Now, is this going to pay off for him, or is he going to struggle? It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see. There you go. Race control says DRS is disabled. So, like you said at the beginning of this race, once that comes out, it's usually time to come in for a set of intermediates. And I'm just riding on board with Sam Bamkid now, and it's like he's driving on ice. And I think this was a gamble that's not going to pay off for him. He's crawling around this circuit now, and Bugner only 14 seconds and fast closing in onto the back of Sam. So Sam, unfortunately, is going to lose a heap of time when he does come into the pits. Yeah,
real shame for Sam there. Just the wrong decision. You see everyone making that brave last ditch effort to jump into the pit lane, and clearly the rain and the spray is now very much evident. He comes around the final corner of Ari Ludendijk, and he's now into the box. But yeah, expect to see Sam. Can he get it slowed down? No, he can't get it slowed down. Too hot in into the pit lane, and then picks up a 5-second time penalty, and frustration will be boiling over there from Sam King. He was running very well. Where's he going to come back out? But it's not going to be in that competitive position that he found himself in at the start. He's now going to roll out of the pit lane. In fact, the VSC might have just about helped him to hold on to. He's going to fall out position into about 4th position, so it's just helped him. But you've got to think that perhaps that earlier stop might have got him in a little bit earlier and a little bit out, and out a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and talking of frustration, one must be very frustrated for TL44S. He got held in the pit lane because there was so many cars filtering through. He got held. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. We've lost Arby's, I believe, in sector 3. So we got a yellow flag there. So yeah, TL44S, he just got held. He wasn't allowed to filter out. The team had to hold him there, and he lost heap loads of place, and now down into P7. So TL44S, who was really putting the pressure on Berliner, has got a lot of work to do now to try and get even onto the podium.
Yeah, it's all happening early on, and you can see the rain's come down very heavily, very fast. So obviously coming straight off of that coastal breeze here, and we're right off the edge of the beach here at Zandvoort, and so clearly it's swept right over, and you can already see the track is well on the way to being perfect for the intermediates to work. And yeah, be interesting to see if it does start to rain any heavier. Of course, we are expecting it to go dry later on, so we'll see how long this rain sticks around for. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Whether, of course, you're watching live or you're watching back, and as I said earlier, it helps us out massively if you give us a like and, of course, a subscribe to the new YouTube channel if you are new. And, of course, you can watch the rest of the races throughout the week here on YouTube, and it's IRL F1 tonight. Of course, tomorrow night will be IRL F2 on the PS4 and on the YouTube and on the Xbox, who will be streaming live on twitch.tv with everything uploaded to this YouTube channel, so you've got plenty of places to watch all platforms, because of course on Wednesday you've got IRL F3, F4 and the brand new PC League, and they will be competing on Wednesdays. And on Thursdays you've got the Realistic Performance League, our original league, as you've got to dive to the inside. Goes the AlphaTauri of KJ, who's lost out massively and connects with Scott and goes down. So of course KJ with in fact resets to track, so that's a big no-no for KJ. I think he'll find himself hit, well, slapped on the wrist by the stewards for that one, because of course that does negate you losing as much time, but of course puts you right out back into the path of others that aren't as aware that you're doing so. So yeah, big no-no there for KJ. And but back up, Sambam starting to close in on Harry, and Harry was one of the beneficiaries of the rain coming out. He managed to jump all the way into 3rd, but one of the good starters in this one, Sam Pepito, up to the 2nd position. He's moved up 3 positions already.
Yeah, he's having a good race so far, Sam. I was just keeping an eye on further down for the final points place positions, and Rymac's got a bit of a train on at the moment. Rymac's fallen away from TL44S, and he's now got Warrislander, Andre and Scott and Cliffy all in close quarters, but because of the tight nature of this circuit, these guys are finding it very difficult, especially with these conditions as well. So at the moment, Rymac is doing well, hanging on to that 8th place, but he can imagine he's getting a few people frustrated behind, knowing they have an opportunity to try and gain some more points, but at the moment they just can't get past that Renault, and Warrislander just trying to dive a nose up the inside of Rymac there, but Rymac having none of it, and Warrislander, in these conditions, you're better off not trying silly little lunges like that, as we've just seen with KJ, because you can easily find yourself facing the wrong way. So hopefully, for their sake, they'll try and find somewhere to overtake, maybe down the start finish race into turn 1. But at the moment, Rymac is now 4.5 seconds behind TL4S, and this is going to get ever so frustrating now for those guys behind us. Warrislander almost lost it there. Jeez, that was close, and I don't think he's going to lose any positions for that, so he got away one big time there.
Yeah, he did indeed. I was sitting right above his head there, and yeah, just got on the power on the exit of the final corner, and the banking just caught him out, but held on to it very well indeed. And you can see holding off Andre, Scott and Cliffy, who are charging behind, but yeah, just pushing to close in on Rymac. And Ryan, as you say, doing a good job holding off this, a little bit of a bottleneck for Ryan. And this is a track that is going to be tricky to overtake on, as we've said before, and so everyone's going to have to watch out where they do it. In fact, it's going to be all about picking the right opportunities, as you said, KJ, to making the wrong choice earlier on. So we'll see if they can manage to navigate their way around Ryan, but Ryan doing a good job once again in 8th position, looking at picking up some more points on the season. He's had a strong start to this one in this season so far. An 8th place finish last week that picked him up 3 points, and yeah, he should be pretty happy. IRL F3 champion just a few short seasons ago. He's already found himself up into F1, and so he's definitely on the right track. As you can see, get off of that red and white striped curb there, Andre. You don't want to be on that in the rain, because you will be finding yourself pointing in the wrong direction. But those red LED lights flickering and flashing on the back of each car, so it's pretty much the only thing you want to be following, because that is going to be the best thing with all this spray being kicked up on this circuit here in Zandvoort. And yeah, Rimac still leading the way from Andre Scott, Cliffy, and behind Burmeister in 13th position. But it is Berliner leading the race ahead of Samu Brito and Harry falling away a little bit from Samu.
He is a bit. I'm just keeping an eye on the 6th place battle here, and TL4 for us is pretty much pushing Logshot around this track, and he tried to dive down the inside at turn 1. Yeah, similar to what KJ tried, but TL4 for us seen it coming. He's seen the door was closing and got out of it quickly, and he survived for another day. But at the moment, Logshot is proved to be just like what Rimac is for the likes of Warrisland, a bit frustrating for TL4 for us, but he's just got to keep his head here. He's clearly the quicker out of the two guys. Logshot looks like he's struggling in these conditions. If TL4 for us can get past him, he's got 4.5 seconds to try and make up to catch up with Foxred. But at the moment, TL4 for us has definitely got the pace to be in this. He's just got to try and navigate his way past, firstly, Logshotter. Oh, it's TL4 for us! Oh my god, another one similar to Warrisland. I thought he'd lost it there. He held on very well in that Racing Point car, and the big sigh of relief there for TL4 for us, and he can try and attack Logshotter once again.
Yeah, I can imagine those pink overalls are no longer pink, because that was a big moment there for TL44S, and he just holds on to it, got out the throttle very, very quickly, and yeah, didn't even scrape the wall. But big moment there for the Racing Point that says that he can get a top 3 in this one. Well, he's currently in 7th, and he's got a big gap between Logshotter and Foxy, so he's got a lot of work to do. So possibly when it goes dry, we might see him come alive again. And when it goes dry, / if it goes dry, we're only on lap 10 of 36 here. It is going to be who makes the brave move to come in and possibly get the undercut on everyone else when the track starts to dry up, and you start to see that drying line form. But TL44S still closing in on Logshot, who's lost 4 positions, of course, being held in the pit lane big time in that mass brawl where we saw everyone diving into the pit lane apart from Sam Bamkick, who is not been harmed too much from it. He's only 0.8 of a second behind Harry, who's desperately trying to hold on to a podium position, and Harry now 3.4 seconds behind Sam looking for his first podium on the season. Berliner is hopefully going to be taking a debut win here. The pit window is now open. We've already seen them make a pit stop, so I would expect to see anyone back in again. But if you want to maybe just shake things up again, go into the box and have another go of another set of tyres. But I would expect to see everyone stay out until this rain abates and we start to go dry again. But TL44S, really nice run on Logshotter here. There's just nowhere to overtake, so he's going to follow him. We're now in towards turn 7 and turn 8. He's having to get off the throttle, and it's just going to cost him time. You can see they're starting to lose a bundle of time now. 5.8 seconds. It's moving up by almost 1/10 of a second to Foxy Red ahead. So Logshot are doing a great job of holding on to 6th, but at the moment you've got to think of really holding up TL44S.
He really is indeed. You imagine he's going to be incredibly frustrated. He's clearly got the pace this evening, TL4 for us, and just because of the amount of congestion, it's costing big time. I'm just looking a bit further ahead, and Harry is losing time to Sam, like you pointed out. But the problem now is Sam Bam Kid behind him is also reeling him in. But similar situations, what's going off all around this track at the moment. People are managing to get close to the cars ahead, but they're just finding it a bit difficult, especially in these conditions, to get the move done. So these conditions are probably helping Harry out at the moment to keep hold of that 3rd place, because I imagine if Sam Bam Kid had, say, DRS, going down the start-finish straight, it would probably be a bit easier to get the move done. But at the moment, Harry is hanging on in there, but he's slowly losing time to the battling guys at the front.
There's Scott Bugner there. His disc brakes glowing orange down into Tarzan as they come through Hugenholtz. And yeah, he had a little bit of a moment on the exit at the final corner, but back on the pace and closing in on Andre. But they're still closing in on Rymac, and the Renault still leading this field away. And you can see Warris now probably the closest he's been in a number of laps. Can he make a move on the Renault ahead? He's just going to have to back off. There's just nowhere to overtake here unless you're really under DRS, and of course no DRS due to the fact that the rain is coming down. So this is working in Ryan's favour big time. The Renault could just hold everyone behind. The Renault is currently just building a little bit of a gap between himself and the Red Bull after that exit there, but behind Andre and Scott are closing in on Warrisland, and they've brought Cliffy into the party as well. So we've currently got a 5-car fight for 8th position here. We've got Sam Kidd still holding the 8/10 gap between himself and Harry, but Foxy Red now getting involved in that party. So we've got a 3-way fight for the podium.
You might have just heard me go ooh, and the reason why I've just gone ooh is KJ has come in for a set of mediums. KJ is now out on track on a set of mediums, and behind him TTG Nathan has also come in for a set of hards, as we see position swapping with TL4 first. But yeah, KJ, I'm just keeping an eye on him now, and it looks very, very tricky out there at the moment. He's pretty much crawling around this circuit at the moment. He's sideways in most of the corners, so I don't believe this is the optimum time to come in, but I suppose he's thinking, what have I got to lose? I'm at the back of the field, I may also try something different. And if this can work for KJ, suddenly he could find himself gaining a heap load of times. We see Burmeister is also into the pits. He's come in for a set of hards, so the guys running at the back are trying to gamble here. Let's be interested to see if this pays off for him.
Yeah, so into the box comes KJ, out onto mediums, into the box comes Burmeister and Nathan. So 3 Dutch drivers at the back, all on dry tyres now. It has stopped raining, but there is still a little bit of spray emanating from the tyres, so it's obviously has not got a yellow in sector 1. Is that
Burmeister.
One of the... It is Burmeister has decided to plough his way through one of the Amranco polystyrene boards on the exit of the pit lane there. So the Dutchman that is currently drifting sideways is starting to get caught by the leaders now. So he unfortunately is going to be out there on very tricky tyres, and up to him does come the Ferrari of Berliner, and will they be able to get around? Of course we have switched ghosting back on, so he does get out of the way onto the grass. So Burmeister doing a good job there getting out of the way of the leader of Berliner, but Berliner with a 2.6 second lead over Sam, who's making his way around Schlievelach now, and you can see the Spaniard in the 14 Mercedes having a much better race so far than what we've seen so far from him this season. He was saying to us, Sab, that he doesn't know what's going on this season. He said, I'm not the same driver as I was before, but this is a little bit better from Sam.
It is. It's good to see him right up there with... never mind. I got a bit too excited. There was a Red Bull going the wrong way, but I realised... Well, not going the wrong way, spinning, sorry. It was Burmeister still struggling. But yeah, going back to Sam, we've seen him often, haven't we, on the podium in winning races. So to see him struggling in the early stages of this season, it was disappointing to see, but it's good to see he's coming back to the Sam we know he's capable of. I'm just wanted to just give you an update with KJ, and this gamble has really not worked, as you could probably tell with the likes of Burmeister as well. KJ was about 27 seconds. Oh, hang on, I'm going to just change tune a second. TL4 has got a really good run on Logshot here. It's a great opportunity for TL4 to finally get past Logshot. He's going to try around the outside Logshot to keep it on the inside. Can TL4 keep this going? Yes, he can. Great move there from TL4. Unfortunately, it's probably about 4 laps too late now. He's 9.5 seconds behind Foxy Red now, being stuck behind that Alpha Tauri. So Logshot now finally been dispatched by the Racing Points of TL4 into 6th.
Yep, already breaking away goes the Racing Points at TL4 First. Now he's been his shackles have been released, and he can set off in a chase of, well, a 9.2 second gap to Foxy Red. But we'll see what can happen in the next few laps until TL4 starts to really get on it. But one person that is getting on it is Bert. Retires from the race. He decided to come onto the dry tyres. It really didn't work for him. But one person that is on the charge is Sam Kidd now in the Haas, closing in on Harry. So Harry, who said that he enjoys this circuit, but at the moment being hassled, quite literally hassled, by Sam Bamkick and Foxy Red. So you've got the two behind that are looking for their best results of the season, trying to close on Harry, who's thinking about the championship. Of course, no gamer this week, so he's having to try and pick up the pieces and close in and perhaps even take the lead in the championship, but he needs to hold on to a podium to do so. He's currently got a 6-point advantage, or disadvantage in the championship, I should say, so dropping down positions is not what Harry needs. But if you're Sam Bamkick and Foxy Red, you've got to think you've definitely got the chance of getting past.
You have indeed, yes, and Foxy Red is keeping an eye on this. I'm riding on board with Foxy Red in the Alfa Romeo. He's keeping an eye on this, and he'll be hoping to try and pick up any pieces these two might get involved in. As we see, Rimac had an issue there. Rimac has lost 4 places in the space of 4 places in the space of 2 corners there, so I'm not sure what's happened to Rimac there, but Rimac now has dropped down to P12, and the Warris Landau, Andre, Scott and Cliffy all ahead of him there, so Rimac must have had some sort of issue, unfortunately, for him, and that drops him out of the points.
Yeah, unfortunately there, and we can see Scott has finally got past Andre for 9th position, so the McLaren and the Williams swap positions. Now Cliffy's going to get a run in him as well. The rain has stopped and DRS is now enabled, so expect to see everyone diving into the pit lane this time round onto a set of the medium or the hard tyres. Lap 17 of 36 here, so it will be time to see everyone into the box off of these tyres. KJ is going to come in for another set of dry tyres after going out there testing it out, and so unfortunate. Tom, TL44S, picks up a 5-second speeding penalty, but Cliffy staying out on the intermediates. So outstays Cliffy on these green-walled intermediates, and we've got a safety car. So safety car is now out after, well, we'll have to find out what for, because there's no one that's retired from the session, but a safety car now out on circuit. TL44S, that might help him out with that penalty, but yeah, with Cliffy just ahead of the safety car on a set of intermediates, well, that's going to help him, because you've got to think that everyone else had made that stop onto dry tyres, but it should put Cliffy right at the back.
Yeah, that's bizarre, isn't it? I was flicking through all of the drivers, and I can't work out why the safety car has come out. Burmeister did retire, but that was a few laps ago now, so that is a bit bizarre to see it, but we have a safety car, and that should make things very interesting with a dampish track still out there, and these guys who are in the lead will surely be coming into the pits for a set of dry tyres, as I'm just keeping an eye on Berliner now. And Berliner, yes, the Ferrari driver does come into pits. Got to make sure he slows down quick enough. Yes, he does, so that's nicely done there. We've just seen TL44S pick up a speeding penalty there, and Berliner has come onto a set of mediums. Sam also on a set of mediums with Harry. What is Harry going to be set on? Remember, the Williams car is always at the end of the grid, and Harry also on the Williams. So interesting strategies there, because you've got a few guys on the hard tyres with the front runners going onto the mediums. It'll be interesting to see if those medium tyres can last from now till the end of the race.
And into the box will come Cliffy, so he decided to stay out last time around, and look what it's going to do, because around goes TL44S. So TL44S, even with that 5-second penalty, now will go ahead. Into the box also comes KJ, Eltink and Nathan. So KJ, I think, making his 4th stop on the evening. I'll double check that, but yeah, a lot of stops. Yeah, 3rd stop for Nathan, and 4 stops both for Nathan and KJ. So both deciding to make multiple stops and make it even harder for themselves. But yeah, Cliffy coming out in 10th position, so back out into this battle that he was involved in, and back out just behind Rimac. So Ryan perhaps being helped out by Cliffy's indecision to come into the box there. Cliffy now back behind Scott and Ryan, but ahead of Andre. So this that gaggle of cars all coming into the box has possibly helped him out a little bit by shuffling up this what was a 5-car pack.
Yeah, definitely, and I can't wait now to see what we're going to have now, because we're going to have a completely different race, aren't we, to what we've just had, because these guys were all stuck behind each other, not really able to make a meaningful move on each other, in fear of losing it in wet tricky conditions, but now they've got DRS, they've got a drier track, I should say. So the likes of Harry, who is under massive pressure. By the way, I've just noticed that Sambam Kid is lost the position to Foxy Red through this. So Foxy Red now is the car directly behind Harry. So Foxy Red will be trying to put the pressure on Harry. And what can Harry do now? Can Harry stick with the likes of Sam and Berlin at the front and take it to the front guys, or is he going to get hounded by the likes of Foxy and Sam behind? With TL4 will be, I imagine, breathing a huge sigh of relief, because that 9-second gap he had to these guys at the front is now relinquished and he's now back on them. But the issue is these guys ahead are all on medium tyres, so I imagine these hard tyres will take a few laps longer to really get into their rhythm.
Yeah, they will indeed, and it's going to be interesting. We're going to have almost like a second race here as everyone goes back onto dry tyres, and so yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game. Belena leading from Samu, and then Harry in third place. Now we've got Foxy Red and Sam, who of course have swapped positions in fourth and fifth position. Now they are on the dry tyres. Will Harry be able to fend them off as well as he was on the intermediates? So yeah, this is going to be a fascinating end to this one, and we're going to have about 16 lap sprint to the end of the race. Here, the third round on the season here in the IRL F1 League. The safety car is out. We're not quite sure what for, but perhaps just to shake up the race for everyone else. And we are here at Zandvoort for the first time on the PS4. Of course, plenty more racing throughout the week here at Invictus Racing League. You've got the IRL F1 League on a Monday with myself and Sab in the commentary box. IRL F2 on a Tuesday with IRL F2 on the Xbox, also streaming live on twitch.tv. Then on Wednesday, IRL 2, F3 and F4 leagues, and the IRL PC League. So all three leagues now on a Wednesday evening. F4 on Thursday will be realistic performance. There we go. Sorry, tongue twister. I'm trying to think of so many different things whilst this is happening. So yeah, I do apologise. I'm all over the place this weekend. I'm absolutely knackered. But yeah, PS4 realistic performance league on a Thursday with Malk and Tim in the commentary box, who did a brilliant job of calling a brand new format this season over the opening two rounds, with full qualifying every every odd round and every even round a reverse grid, as Andre picking up a 5-second penalty for a collision there as well. So yeah, people getting a little bit too testy on the throttle behind the safety car. We're still under yellow, with Ryan now picking up, and we've got multiple penalties being flashed up on circuit now. So these all will be checked post-race, of course. We do know that there is still a few teething issues. I'm being polite about this game. But yeah, it is going to be... Well, we'll check everything for these guys, and of course the admins and the stewards will be in full effect. So don't worry if you do see anything flash up that looks a little bit random. It all gets checked. As a round's going to go Samu Pepito. Around goes Sam. Getting it too hot there into turn 10. What was he doing? Safety car's in this lap, and Sam's going to try and jump back into second position, and in fact almost comes into contact with Sam Bam Kid. So Sam, stupidly, to put it nicely, just too hot under the safety car. He's going to have to hold on to the position, because even you can't filter back into the position you started in. You have to if you spin or if you go off track, that is where you have to start back under the safety car. So Sam Pivito from second position now finds himself back in fifth.
That's just bizarre, and it looked like to me that TL4 had gone ahead of him. So Sam, I don't know whether that needs checking or not, but Sam seemed to like he'd overtook TL4 in all that. But here we go then. We're about to get underway, and Belinda is literally leaving it to the line here, and here he goes. He now puts his foot down. I thought he was going to leave it right to the line, and this is going to allow the likes of Foxy and Foxy and Sam Bam Kid have collided at the first corner, both into the gravel. Disaster. That's exactly what they wanted, and that has promoted Sam, luckily for Sam, back into third place, with TL4 battling hard with... Oh, that's KJ Elting. What is KJ Elting doing there? He's getting in the way of TL4 there, and he shouldn't really be racing this hard, and that's really disruptive for likes of TL4 trying to get on with Sam. But Sam back up into third, and he'll be breathing a huge sigh of relief to see those two guys take each other out of the first corner.
Yeah, so that's KJ Elting's ghost. So not in position. That is KJ Elting, the pole sitter, a lap down, trying to unlap himself. He's now coming up to the back of Sam Pepito, and Sam, who's made his way back up to third, luckily due to Sam Bam Kid running into the back of Foxy Red 2000 at the restart. You can see everyone getting a little bit too excited down into Tarzan. So yeah, that was a real shame there for both Foxy and Sam, because both of them were having a very strong run, but that opened the door for Harry to hold on to second position. Sam now back up into third. But I'm sure the stewards will want to have a look at Sam's conduct back under the safety car come the end of this one. But TL44S is still now back in the charge. Is he going to touch that inside curb? He does, almost loses the car. And you can see just everyone just on the limit now, starting to push hard. Into the box comes Sam. He's going to need a front wing change. Cliffy and Rymack are changing positions over 7th and 8th behind as well. So Cliffy getting back past the Renault that he passed a few laps ago, and then lost it under that safety car period, pitting onto the intermediate off the intermediates. But yeah, you can see this fight is going to go right down to the wire. We've got an Alpha Tauri closing in on Rymack. So Ryan in that yellow and black helmet in the yellow and black car is now got to hold on to position as around Cliffy. He's going to try and go around the outside of Warrislander, around the outside of turn 10. And he's going to use the outside curb, and he's going to give him the inside line in towards Hans Erzbocht at the chicane. Now they're going to go side by side. Is the door going to be left open? There's still a side by side, banging wheels. Cliffy's going to try and hold on to the position. Warrislander's going to run him out wide onto the exit curb, and he's going to have to filter into position as KJ picks up 3 seconds as he desperately tries to find his way back onto the lead lap.
One driver I would like to point out who has really benefited from that safety car period is Scott Bugner. Scott Bugner is now up into 5th place and really putting the pressure on TL4S. Oh, he touched that inside curve once again, like he did on the previous lap, sideways round that corner, held onto it somehow. I thought Scott was going to pounce like Scott does, and he was a bit too far behind, unfortunately, and Scott couldn't take advantage of it. But TL4S is really pushing his luck on with that inside curve, and surely he'll be not wanting to do that again, because that really will cost him time, because he's slowly starting to fall away from Sam here. He's just about hanging on in there with 6/10, but Scott Bugner, who's really benefited in 5th place, really putting the pressure on that Racing Point driver.
Lap 23 of 36 here at the first ever Dutch Grand Prix on the PS4 at IRL, the Invictus Racing League, in which this is the PS4 F1 League with myself, Gareth Hall, and Alan Sabatino, or otherwise known as Sab, every Monday for the next 10 weeks after this, I believe it is. Yeah, plenty of action to come up this season. We are here the entire week at Zandvoort throughout the majority of our league. Sam Bam Kid picks up 3 seconds. Next week we head to Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix, as Scott Bugner tries to go to the inside of TL4S, and up the inside he does. So using those medium tyres to good effect up into 4th position. So this is a really good result so far for Scott. Much better. He's not picked up a point so far this season. And how's your bottle, Scott? Can you hold on to this one? Because he really needs to start supporting Harry, because Harry's 1.3 seconds, 1.6 seconds behind Berliner, 1.3 seconds ahead of Sam. Will Scott now start closing in on Sam and starting hassling the back of that Mercedes?
It would be a great result for Williams, wouldn't it, if Scott can get past Sam Pito here, that Mercedes driver, and get 2 Williams drivers on the podiums. To be a real confidence boost for Scott. And I think those medium tyres are just proving to be the right tyre to be on at the moment, because TL4S is slowly starting to fall away from Scott now, and he's got his teammate Cliffy not too far behind, 1.8 seconds behind Cliffy on the medium tyre. So maybe the wrong choice in tyre, but TL4S is not giving up on this. He's still about 6/10. He will have DRS on Scott, and Scott will have to do some defending, but at the moment I'd fancy Scott more on those medium tyres to push further forward rather than TL4S on those hard tyres. But will remain to be seen what happens. I could be proven to be wrong. I have been done many times on a Monday night.
Rymack closing in on Warrislander for 7th position. So Warris trying to hold on to the position, but he's on those hard tyres. Of course, the hards went on for TL4S, Warrislander and Andre. And of course, everyone else on the yellow-walled medium tyres. They're 0.4 of a second a lap faster than the white-walled hard tyre, the hardest compound that they are running here this week. And everyone on those mediums will be potentially eyeing up perhaps getting past these hard tyres, and Warris, I'm sure, will have the likes of Rimac, Schofield, Foxy and Logshotter, and now Sam, we've got Andre back on the hard tyres, who's equally trying to get closed in on. So this battle with Warris Lander now becoming a bottleneck. Earlier on it was Ryan, this time it's Warris on those hard tyres, so watch out for this evolving. Scott has now got himself within 0.6 of a second behind Sam as he enters Tarzan, enters the second to last corner, and now into the final corner at the Ari Ludendijk-Bocht. He's now going to go down the back straight. DRS assisted, he'll close in down towards Tarzan. The corners here look very similar, but here is Tarzan for the Williams. He's going to close in on the Mercedes head, so Sam might find himself with Scott all over his rear wing as they come into Hugenholtz, and we've seen this happen before. Scott versus Sam, we've seen this a number of times over the last few years, and it's always electric and it's always a lot of fun. It usually, Sab, ends up in tears.
Yeah, it does, but like you say, it is electric when these two battle on track, and with 10 laps remaining, I'm sure they're going to give us a hell of a battle for us to watch here. But Sam is just about clawing in Harry now. He's just over a second behind Harry, just outside that DRS, so Harry started to lose time to Berliner. Berliner really has gone off into the lead now, and I imagine, I don't want to put the jinx in him, but he looks really comfortable at the moment at the front on his debut in that Ferrari. He has really shown what he's about this season, and Harry, I can say, just 2.3 seconds behind with Sam Fitter, trying his hardest to pick that DRS up to help him defend from Scott. Scott 0.8 of a second, just not quite close enough on this run, but I'm sure he'll be trying his all in the next few corners to bring that gap even closer. But TL4 for us is not going away either. The sun, as you see there, the sun is now coming out, so the track temperature will be going up, but TL4 for us is definitely not out of this either. Just 0.6 of a second. He's hanging on to the back of that Williams nicely, even though he's at a disadvantage on the tyres.
Nice move there from Schofield into Tarzan, and as you say, the sun is coming out, so the track temperature will increase, which will mean these medium tyres will work even more than they are already. So watch out for the medium tyres to get even more impressive compared to these guys on the hard. So Schofield is now going to be the major threat to Warris Lander. Scott is closing in on Sam. Sam's equally closing in on Harry. TL4S is staying with the three of them. So the battle for the second, third and fourth will continue. Cliffy is trying to get involved in that party, 2.3 seconds back with Warris Lander. Now this bottleneck as Cliffy picks up 3 seconds as I say that, so we've currently got Racing Point 5th and 6th, but we know that both Tom and Cliffy are sitting on penalties, so they might find themselves falling down the order. Rimax dropped to 9th position. He's now got Foxy red all over his gearbox, and Will Foxy, who had unfortunately that contact with Sandbaum kick, which cost him a spin and cost him a potential podium. He's going to now look to get the inside. Is Rimac going to have deja vu into Tarzan? He is, so that's 2 laps in a row. He sees an Alfa Romeo go to the inside line and around him at Tarzan as they come around to Hugenholtz. So now Rimac's going to have to desperately hold off Andre, who will be looking at picking up a point here at the Dutch Grand Prix. I'm trying not to say Netherlands Grand Prix. One of the same, the Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort, but yeah, Sam Fitter now 0.8 of a second behind Harry, battling for second position, and he's brought Scott with him. So yeah, Harry is once again going to start to come under threat from a number of cars behind.
He really is, and I think he'll find it a lot harder this time round, knowing the guys behind have DRS. And just looking further down, Warris Lander is proving to be a bit of a pain in the backside for the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers. Schofield cannot get the move done on the Red Bull driver. Warris Lander on the hard tyres, one of the other drivers on the hard tyres, and Schofield find it incredibly frustrating at the minute not to be able to get past the Red Bull driver, and this is just allowing Schofield's teammate Foxy to reel him in. So Foxy is recovering somewhat nicely after that incident earlier on, and he's into the points now, but Schofield not close enough, just simply not close enough to Warris Lander to get the move done down that straight there, and it looks like it's going to be another frustrating lap for Schofield stuck behind that Red Bull.
Yeah, so we've still got this battle as very deep into Hugenholtz goes Schofielder, locking up both front tyres, and the Swede that extended his all-time win record here at IRL to 25 with a win in the PC League last week. He will be looking at picking up some more good points in the IRL F1 League on the PS4, but it is still this battle going on at the front between Harry, Sam and Scott, with TL44S also getting involved. Scott Bugner on his 100th Grand Prix will be looking at picking up a podium, but to do so he's got to get past Sam and equally close in on his teammate Harry. And if it comes to it, will the Williams go wheel to wheel? You bet they will, and Harry will not want to let Scott get one over on him. He was the #1 driver in the team last season, and Scott very much played second fiddle to Harry, but this time around Scott said that's not my job, but he's got to close in and catch Harry if he wants to make that statement, because at the moment Harry's second in the championship and second on circuit.
He is indeed. And what are you thinking right now? Because it looks like to me they're just nullifying each other, aren't they? At third, fourth, and fifth, they've all got DRS, but they can't really do anything. Sam is not really getting a good run out of the final corner to have any attempt at Harry, and then Scott is also then getting a bit stuck as well because Sam has got the DRS. So is Scott for TL4 so no one really can make any moves at the moment, and unless I think Sam can get a move done on Harry, I think it was just 6 laps ago that someone's going to have to do something pretty brave here, but Sam now getting really close to the back of Harry now. Is this an opportunity? He's got to try and nail these final few corners to get that good slingshot down the start-finish straight to really have a go at Harry, but Harry has been nailing this final corner really well. He's shown good defensive skills at the moment, but Sam is much closer now. Can Sam get the move done? Harry tucks to the inside. Whoa! Sam switches to the inside. That's they've touched. They've touched there, and is that going to give an opportunity for Scott? No, it isn't. But Sam strangely dived down the inside there, where the door was always going to shut. I thought he might have gone round the outside.
Yeah, we know that Sam has a reputation for making rash decisions and rash moves, and that was another one. The door was, as you say, very much never going to be open there. Harry covered off the inside line, and it was going to get tighter and tighter. Sam decided to go for it, and he's unfortunately used up all his battery. Just checked on his onboard, no battery for Sam, so as KJ's picking up penalties down the order of frustration for the Dutchman that started on pole, as Sam retires from the session at Sambam Kid in 13th position. Unfortunately, he was involved in the collision at the restart under the safety car with Foxy Red 2000. It cost himself perhaps a podium, a first podium in a long time here at IRL, as Scott hops the curb there. That's probably going to be a warning, so he's going to have to watch out for that one, because it might cost him the chance of fighting for this podium with Sam. But will Sam have another go at Harry on the exit of the final corner at the Ari Ludendorff? And he's going to once again get a launch out, but this time around it's Scott Bugner that's got the battery well and truly used up, but DRS is open. He's closing in on Sam. Sam locks up the front right, but Scott not quite close enough to get the move done on the Spaniard up ahead. But everyone seemingly starting to use these batteries up. We've got just 4 laps left to go in this one, lap 32 of 36. Berliner is comfortably leading the way by 3.9 seconds. Scott has got to run on San Fabrizio, but do not throw it away by making a silly move now when you can save it up for that main straight. This is the best opportunity. The best opportunity is down the back straight and on the pit straight. So Scott just has to sit behind Sam and pick his point, because Sam, you can see the back of that car all out of shape. But one person that's still well in play in this is TL44S.
It really is, and I think those hard tyres might start to be coming towards him now, as these guys are running 13-14 laps on medium tyres. These hard tyres, I imagine, are a bit more durable at this stage, so TL4S is definitely out of this. We do remember, though, he does have that 5-second penalty, unfortunately, for speeding in the pit lane, which will go on his time at the end there. So at the moment, this is just a bit frustrating again. Sam, you say he's used all his battery up on that one move, and he's not quite close enough again for Sam, and Scott is not quite close enough either. So at the moment, they're once again nullifying each other. Let's hope they're just saving it all up for one last attempt at the end. But just further down, I just wanted to point out that Foxy Red is trying to move on on the Warrislander. Can he get a move done around the outside of Warrislander? Let's be very brave if he can get this done. He already got a move done, Foxy Red, on his teammate Scopefielder, and Foxy Red does get the move done. I don't know if it was a team order between Foxy and Scopefielder. I didn't see that, but Foxy Red does get the move done on Warrislander. So one Alfa Romeo has dispatched the Red Bull. It's up to Scopefield now to see if he can finally get the move done as well.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Foxy Red. A little bit of wheel bang, a little bit of tagging, but majority clean, and he manages to get around the outside of Tarzan, gave him the inside for Hugenholtz, and he is now up into 7th position. Of course, he was involved in that spin with Sandbaum Kid earlier on in this one, and he can now start to break away. Warrislander is starting to go side by side with Scopefielder down towards Hans Hertz. There's contact between the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo. Around it goes the Alfa Romeo of Scopefielder. So Scopefielder off into the gravel. There was side by side contact between the pair of them, and unfortunately he's now going to drop outside of the points. That's going to promote Rimac, that dropped all the way down to 12th into the points. So last lap we lost KJ Eltink, our pole sitter. Unfortunately, he has had a race to forget, and he is out of this one.
Oh, Sam nearly lost it. Sam nearly lost it. Scott Bugner now. This is an excellent opportunity for Scott to get past, but the problem is this part of the track, it's so tight and narrow, so Sam just needs to make sure he keeps his car on the racing line, and he should recover. But Sam was pretty much sideways going, I think, out to turn 4 there, and he just about held on to it, and he's wiggling again. Wow, Sam is really struggling with that Mercedes right now, and what this is doing, this is allowing Harry to somewhat pull away, and this is giving a great opportunity now for Scott to try and steal a podium place here. And Sam really not enjoying these last few laps. It looks like he's having a real trouble with that Mercedes keep it in a straight line pretty much, but Sam won't be able to really have a run at Harry. Will he have DRS? He was maybe just inside the DRS, but here we go. Scott has a run now. Sam does not have DRS, so there's no DRS for Sam. Can Scott get a move done down the inside? Oh, they tag, and Sam has lost it. Can TL4S take advantage of this? Oh no. They've took out TL4S, and unfortunately Scott and Sam collided, which TL4S had no chance in that. He just tried to get around the outside of him and was collected with it, and disaster in the end. And you called it early on, whenever Sam and Scott get together, normally disaster happens, and once again we have seen that, and Scott is now running around the track with pretty much no front wing left. And
TL44S was the innocent party in all of that, and you retiring, frustration boiling over for TL44S. He knew that a podium may have been out of his reach with that 5-second penalty, but you can see now Scott getting out of the way for Foxy Red 2000, and Cliffy out of all that has been promoted up into 3rd, but Sam Pipito and Scott just I'll be politically correct and trying to be as polite as possible, but dumb driving, we'll say there. Sam making a late defensive move, Scott committed to the inside. It was never going to work from either of them. Contact between the pair, and they continued to try and make the overtake work, and yeah, unfortunately for that, neither one was going to give up, as is always the case with those two, and it ended up in tears, and unfortunately TL44S is the worst off out of all of that. So yeah, unfortunately that is an ugly end to the race for Samu Pipito and Scott, but one person that is not on an ugly end is going to be Berliner, who's going to add his name to the very short list of drivers that have won their debut race here at IRL F1, as Nathan picks up the fastest lap of 1:10.828. He's outside of the top 10 and a lap down, but Berliner has been sensational tonight, 2nd on the grid alongside KJ Elting, got to the front, and Scott retires from the race on the last lap as well. So it's a 3rd race in a row with no points for Scott, but Berliner is going to add his name to the ones of VL Hercules, Jumperlinen and CRG Gamer 62 that have won their debut race here in the IRL F1 League. Just 4 names strong, and those 3 have all gone on to very, very strong things, but Berliner up to the line, crosses it, and is a absolutely dominant victor ahead of Harry, who's going to come across the line ahead of Sam. Harry with 7 seconds back, Sam in 3rd, with Cliffy in 4th position. Foxy Red, after that incident with Sambam Kid and possibly losing a podium, is going to manage to recover back to 5th position. So it's a great recovery drive there from Foxy. In fact, he jumps up to 4th. Cliffy is going to hold on to 5th, with Voris and Andre battling over 6th position, but in fact Andre dropped behind Logshotter into 7th. Rimac is going to come across the line, and he might have just been pipped into 10th on time penalties there, but Yeah, a dramatic end to that one, but not if you're Vanilla, controlled from the start as Cliffy picks up driver of the day, and once again, yeah, fighting from the back of the field. So if only Cliffy can get his qualifying sorted out, we might see him as a title contender. But yeah, well, ugly scenes, but yeah, as I said, Berliner, superb from the Ferrari this evening.
He was indeed, and I was about to give Berliner my personal driver of the day. I thought absolutely superb this evening, and drove away from the rest of the field, kept out of trouble, and thoroughly deserved a race debut win. Harry, I think, just about got away from that fighting pack in time when all that happened. But for me, Sam was looking like he was struggling with that car for at least 2 or 3 laps, and he was just fighting too hard, and unfortunately it ruined a few people's races. But apart from that, it was another superb race, I believe.
Yeah, it was, and a very, very strong introduction here at Zandvoort, and yeah, Berliner takes the win ahead of Harry. Sam in third with Foxy Red in fourth, Cliffy in fifth with Warrislander in sixth, Logshot in seventh with Scope in eighth, Andre and Rymac rounding out the points in ninth and 10th, and unfortunately we lost everyone else apart from Nathan finishing a lap down, but Scott, TF4S, KJ, Sam, Burmeister, Arbis and Jakob all falling foul of the track, each other, and everything else around it, and thus ending the third round of the season here at IRL F1. But Berliner, debut win, and not only that, but doing it at your home track, so that's got to feel very sweet indeed.
It has indeed, and it'd be interesting to see what they have to say when they, if they come into the commentary box to have a chat with us shortly. But overall, I think my first impressions, I'd like to hear what your first impressions are, but my first impression of this track is it does promote great close racing. I find it a little frustrating throughout the middle part of the track when the likes of TF4S, who was stuck behind Logshotter for so long. If you are stuck behind a slower car, it can prove a little frustrating. You just got to bite your lips somewhat and stick it out and hopefully get them down the start finish race. But apart from that, I think this circuit, it's an exciting circuit to watch, and I look forward to seeing how the rest of the leagues get on with it this week.
Yeah, so yeah, cannot wait for that one because plenty more action to come on. And of course, if you enjoyed it this evening, make sure you give it a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and if you're not, if you're new. We know that 25% of you that watch our videos aren't subscribed to us, so what are you doing? Make sure you press that red button and subscribe. And yeah, plenty more action, whether you like the Xbox, the FE, or the PS4. And of course, PC League will be on Wednesdays as well. So yeah, all the action throughout the week. And of course, you can go to the website InvictusRacingLeague.com, Invictus RL on Twitter, and Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram for all information and updates throughout the league for what's going on throughout the week. As we've been joined by Harry, we're just waiting to see if we get some of the other podium sitters with us.
They're all here now.
Oh,
Gareth.
wonderful! I didn't see anything flash up, but yeah, guys, just to make sure that you've all got your voices to allow to be shared, just so everyone can hear what you're saying. Don't want to be chatting to myself on stream, but we will get started with our race winner. And welcome, debut win, debut race, and at home, you've got to be delighted.
Yes, I am. So I had good pace in the wet. It was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning of the race because I had difficulty warming up my tires. So a lot of wheel spin out of the corners, and I was pretty slow on the straights in the wet and also the dry conditions. So it was a little bit tricky, but we managed to pull it off.
Very, very late decision to go into the pit lane. What made you make that decision?
Yes, when I was first, my plan was to stay out for one more lap because it didn't start raining. But then like 5 seconds later, it started pouring down. So I quickly moved into the pits. If I didn't do that, my race was over. So I quick thinking there. Otherwise, I lost. So yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations! Brilliant result for you. That's adds you to 4 drivers that have rocked up on IRL F1 and won their first race. So yeah, definitely one to watch out for the rest of the season. Lining up on
Yes.
the front row and then picking up a first win. So congratulations for your first win
Thank
here
you.
and plenty of points in the championship. On to Harry. Harry, second position. You've got to be happy with that. More points, you take the lead in the championship.
Yeah, very happy. I think from 6th place on the grid, I'm extremely happy with that. After the safety cars, I didn't know really what his pace was like, but very quickly I struggled to get my tyres up to temperature, and he broke the DRS, and he was just a tenth or two quicker than me per lap. So yeah, I couldn't catch up to Berliner. So yeah, well done to him. Really good job.
Yeah, and yeah, brilliant result. And I'm sure with a lack of gamer, you've got to think that yeah, that's a podium that has come your way, and you were under threat both under the rain and in the dry. So yeah, how was it? Zandvoort for the first time competitively here in IRL, and you were given all conditions to fight off what was a chasing pack.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the rain anywhere, but especially on a track that you don't know as well. But I just sort of knew really. I think everyone knew before this race it's very difficult to overtake round here just because it is so fast and sort of twisty. So I just knew if as long as I sort of kept it clean and got a good exit out of the 2 last corners before the DRS zones, I knew I probably wouldn't be overtaken. I think Sam came close, I think once or twice, but no, I think it was just trying to not make a mistake really.
Well, congratulations, second place. You take the lead in the championship, going on to Shanghai next week for the Chinese Grand Prix. On to the third place finisher, and that's Sam Pepito. Sam, eventful race for you tonight.
Yes, it was. I thought I was going to be slow as in in the first 2 races, but no. Since qualifying, I was pretty comfortable, and yeah, I was quick both in the dry and in the wet. I was keeping with Berliner, and then I had a big mistake on the safety car. I spinned, so 2 or 3 cars passed me, and yeah, and then I recovered, and yeah, well, then I had some incidents, but yeah, those things happen.
Well, yeah. So it seems that you and Scott magnetised together when you're ever on circuit. So yeah, an incident in Austria this last week, and an incident this week. So yeah, what is it with Scott that you two always seem to collide on circuit?
Well, he's a bit aggressive while overtaking. Tonight, in my opinion, he just went very smooth. Just dive 1 minute in the inside, and I was not having. I mean, usually I would yield and like in the last season, just let people pass. But this season, if I'm there, I'm there, and I'm not gonna move. And then yeah, it was off. I mean, he went for a move, pretty aggressive, but then in the exit, I was still there, and then I don't know. Then he spinned or something, and like on Austria, he went for a move in a corner where you don't usually go for a move, so I was not expecting that. So yeah, he's just aggressive. I respect that, but yeah, these things happen when you are too aggressive.
Well, congratulations on third. Nevertheless, good result for you. First time back on the podium, and yeah, congratulations, guys. Top 3, very well done this evening. And yeah, feel free to shoot off. Sab and I will just be wrapping up on this first appearance here at Zandvoort. So, Sab, how was the event for you?
I really enjoyed it. I thought I wasn't sure what to expect from a newcomer in Berliner, but Berliner really shown the pace, not only in the dry conditions but also in the wet conditions as well, has shown they can really take it to these guys who've got many seasons under their belt of experience here. So be interested to see throughout the whole of the season what Berliner can do, if he can really take it to the likes of Gamer when he comes back, Harry as well, and and any other drivers like KJ. Unfortunately, had a tough race for him today, but it'd be interesting to see how those two would have got on if KJ didn't have any incidents. It'd been fascinating to see how those two would have fought in the race. But going into next week, a completely different circuit where there'll be a lot more opportunities for overtaking. I can imagine it's going to be a completely different challenge for these three on the podium tonight and the rest of the field. So yeah, I enjoyed tonight. It was, like I say, it's fascinating to see new tracks in IRL, and I'm really looking forward to, like I say, to how the rest of the leagues go this season. But these guys, as always on a Monday night, give us plenty of entertainment to commentate on, and huge congratulations to the podium.
Yeah. So yeah, massive result there for Berliner. Really introducing himself to IRL F1 in sensational style. But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be back in 7 days' time at Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. Plenty more action here at Invictus throughout the rest of the week. So make sure you join us for that. Make sure you like and subscribe, and of course follow us on all of the socials and doing all that good stuff that you do over there. But from myself, Sab, and I will see you, and we will see you next week in China. Good night.